still didn't see me. It was probably about a 15-yard shot. And she ran probably about 75 yards and piled up. I think we got her. Okay. We got one down. Oh, Flintlock did alright. Gotta reload and give her a little bit of time. That's the smallest deer I've shot in a long time. And I don't care. I've been having shoulder trouble. It's harder for me to drag out the big ones. And the little ones are easier to process myself. And that's my very first deer with a flintlock. See if I can get all my accoutrements together here. First, let me clean the pan. You see, you get this gunk in there. Just wipe it out. Okay. We're gonna give it 110 grains of 2X GoX. Alright, that's done. We've got a 58 caliber round ball, .580. It's a big old ball. This thing's 62 caliber. But this is some really thick pillow ticking too. This is gonna be my patch material. I got my short starter here. first, then prime it. Now we're ready to go. I think she's down. Oh yeah, that's lung blood. Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? Ooh, Lordy. Well, that's my first deer with a flintlock. She ain't big, but I bet she tastes good. So, just gonna talk about this gun for just a second. This is a Veteran Arms English trade gun. It's a smoothbore musket. See if I can pull it up on the website. Yeah. So it is that one. English trade gun. Right now they are sold out. $749. You might say, how come it's so much cheaper than all the rest of them? Well, I'll tell you, because it's made in India, right? So this goes into the history of it if you go to veteranarms.com. If you're interested in a little read there. But yeah, here it is. The Veteran Arms English trade gun. This particular one is in 62 caliber or 20 gauge. It is a smooth bore. It's got the serpent on the back there. And did a really good job. So I have had one video before of using this actually like a shotgun, hunting squirrels with it, and it did really good for that. This is the first time I've actually used it with a single ball for deer hunting, and as you see, it worked really good for that too. So, not the quickest ignition, but it is a Flintlock. I did flinch a little bit, but you can't tell. I mean, it's a perfect hit. Definitely not my biggest deer, but I'm happy with it. Yep. Now, if you're wondering about the knife of the day, once again, it will be the Buck 110. Okay, so this is where I intended for the deer to come out at. All right, this nice big trail here comes all the way through here and all the way out that way. You might see an old stand right there. It's not really safe to get up in anymore. And this is what I intended for the deer to see. You see, I am about 15 yards away from the ghost blind. Look at that. It was a good setup. Real good setup. But instead, deer came out from over there. Maybe about 15 yards. There's another trail that runs up this way. So I hit her there. About there. She ran up and around and died right over there. So if she would have looked this way, this is what she would have seen, the back of the ghost blind, which doesn't look nearly as good as the front, but obviously it's effective. Okay, so you guys can see the entrance wound. There it is from the inside. The exit is right there. Right there. Still behind the shoulder, maybe 4 inches. So, complete pass through, and just absolutely devastating. That round ball is not playing around. Alright, so headed out to get the four-wheeler. That's going to make this a lot easier. So, if you've looked into muzzleloaders, particularly Flintlock muskets and smooth bores and whatnot, I'm sure you've run across some of these companies that offer these muzzleloaders that are made in India. You might run across some forums where people are just trashing them, saying they're junk. Well, you can see they're not junk. They're probably, well, undoubtedly they're made with better materials than the originals, but compared to other examples that you could buy, some made in Spain or some made in Italy, they are more rough. I'll give you that. They're more rough, but for something like a English trade gun, they were probably rough in the beginning too. I can't imagine them spending a ton of time on them just to be traded off for different things. Did you guys hear that? I just heard a gunshot. That might have been my buddy Tyler. I think he's got a son with him. That'd be cool. Find out what they get. But anyways, I've had this gun for a couple years now, and I like it. I really don't have much of anything bad to say about it. It's kind of rough. I'm not crazy about the finish. It's a hardwood stock, and I think it has a walnut colored finish, but it's almost black. But a lot of the paintings you see of the originals look about the same. So, how historically accurate is it? Decently. How accurate is it to shoot? With shot, mine shoots dead on. With a round ball, I have to use a little bit of Kentucky windage. Alright, I gotta aim a little bit off to the left and a little bit high. But as long as you remember to do that, and you remember where that sight picture is, right? Because this is a smoothbore musket. It doesn't have a rear sight on it. It's just got a front post. That once you know what the correct sight picture looks like, you can hit dead on out to, I've taken it out to about 50 yards before. It's decently accurate. I'm not a great flintlock shooter. I do flinch every now and then. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly how accurate the gun is versus how accurate I am. You might hear the dogs barking. That's because the neighbor dog is out here riling them up. Riling them up. Alright. Got the four-wheeler. Trying to think if there's anything that I left out here that I want to say. If you guys have ever looked at buying one of these guns from India, you might know that they can't ship the guns in a condition where they can be fired, and that's due to their export laws for exporting weapons, which are very strict. They can't even ship a sharp knife, right? They can't export that from India, right? But the reason why I picked Veteran Arms is because the guns go from India to Georgia, and they're finished in Georgia by Georgia boys. And you might know, if you've ever been there, Georgia boys know a thing or two about guns. And I know some people are like, hey Wiggy, aren't you from Georgia? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I went to high school in Georgia. Yeah. When I enlisted in the military, I left out of Fort Gillem. I took my ASVAB test at Fort Benning. So, yeah, I can vouch for Georgia boys know a thing or two about a thing or two with guns. So they finish the gun and then they ship it to you, so you don't have to do anything. So some of these other places you could probably get this, you know, a very similar gun. It may be made in the same place in India for all I know, because I don't know. But you may be able to get it a little bit cheaper, but you're going to have to finish it yourself, which in the case of a flintlock isn't difficult, right? It usually comes with instructions on how to do it. You just got to drill out the vent hole. That's it. So, anyways, I am really happy with it. It's done really good hunting for me. I haven't had to do much of anything to it. I think I opened up the vent hole just a little bit after I got it, and that made the ignition a lot more reliable. So, yeah, happy with it. Obviously. Now we've got more meat in the freezer. Cool. Alright, let's get out of here before it gets dark.